why don't we intro why we're doing the corporate hate list that we're doing today on the live and
Okay.
the importance of it? Because the reason I wanted to do what we're going to do on this live is talk about our top 5 reasons we hate corporate. And I think it's kind of like specifically working in corporate as
Hmm.
neurodivergent women. And I want to say that the reason I think this is so important is because of all the videos I made on TikTok. So I made tons and tons and tons of videos, and I just got so many comments back about just hundreds and thousands of comments of people that are like, my hair's falling out. I'm so sick. I can't sleep. I'm getting so run down. I mean, it's literally killing people.
Hmm.
And so when I made all those videos, I realized at first I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm just complaining on the internet. And all of the conditioning we get about positivity, we should be positive, you shouldn't point out the bad things. When I started pointing out the bad things, I can't believe how much that actually helped people. It helped
It's
people a lot.
because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's
Yes.
almost scary when you see it because you want to, well, I'll speak for myself. I'm saying it again.
Yes.
But for me, it almost felt like I wish I didn't see it when I was in the
Yes.
thick of it, because then it's like, oh no, like what do I
Right.
do? Like you don't, if yeah, there's this weird sense of like, that's what I think when I going back to what I said earlier of like figuring out everyone else is performing. But I thought I was like, it was just it's just like there's this weird sense of like, is anything real?
I almost wish I could go back as I am now to my younger self in corporate and just pull her aside and be like, "Look, okay. Stop being a hero.
It's not that serious, girl. It's
It's
not your
not
life.
that serious. Like just get that check, girl, and like do your hobbies on the weekends. Like it's
Yes.
just, like
And it
stop like fighting for change here cuz you're not going
one
to
of
get it and you will destroy yourself. And like stop
yes.
stop being authentic and true to your experience. And that's why I was actually so liberating to just get on TikTok and say the most messed up shit I could think about corporate. I actually think it's a big part of almost like deconditioning from a cult.
Let's talk about our list.
Yes,
Is
let's get
this
into it.
that
Okay.
sounds listy and I'm like
It
really
sounds
now I'm like
listy. We're going
I'm
to get into
pumped.
the list. We're going to talk about it because I think it helps people to be honest about what's wrong with corporate. We're going to do our top 5. So our number 1 is truly what we think is the top reason we hate it.
Really
Okay, do you
space
want to
minor.
start
Yeah.
with your
Sure,
number
we're starting
5?
with number 5. Okay.
Yes. Okay, I'm excited.
I feel like it should be higher on, but when you see the whole list, you'll understand why it's number 5.
Right.
So it's lack of depth slash human connection slash empathy. I didn't know how to like, I'm sure there's a word that would
I
simplify
did
that.
some slashing too in
Maybe
my list. Like, yeah.
lack of humanity, I guess would be the and I'm not
Yeah.
saying every place is like that because I currently work at a incredible place. But I used to be a teacher, I've been in sales before, I've been in retail, I've been in marketing, event I've had many lives. I was
Yeah.
a teacher, so I feel like a lot of I'm pulling this from multiple experiences of just work.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that lack of just that's not the priority. Like the priority is not even the companies that say we're a family or let's do like it's all performative. Like it's not really it doesn't feel like real genuine human. You can make human connections though. Some of my bestest friends are from like places I've worked before.
Yeah, but it
So,
almost feels like you guys, my work friends, I've made some work friends too. There was one company I remember so dearly because I had a group of lunch friends that we ate lunch together
mm,
every day. This was pre-COVID. And I looked forward to seeing them every day. They were so cool, so fun to talk to. I'll always remember that. I never had a lunch group like that
mm.
again. But you also kind of feel like you're all hiding in the basement, secretly agreeing to be normal
Well,
with each other.
okay, I love that you're bringing this up because I've been noticing I obviously like on Instagram my algorithm gives me a lot of like memes making fun of corporate and things like that.
Yeah.
And one of my girlfriends today actually sent me one. It was like a when you remember that like that work group that you'll never experience again. Like it was something like what you said, and
Yes.
it was like kind of making fun of
Yes.
it, but also like I think that's like a universal experience, your like experience of like
I
trauma
bet.
bonding makes good friends. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, it's
Right. So
almost like
you
what you love
definitely
and what you
can
hate.
You can make some cool friends, but it's like it's out it feels like it's kind of outside of the system. Like it's not a natural
Mhm.
part of the
No,
organization.
it's almost like it's a flaw in the system of, like,
Yes.
capitalism and corporate that we can still make friends, like, they can't. Because I always think of, like, all those rules too of, like, I'm gonna use, like, prison as an example or even school, public school. Um, Everybody has rules they need to follow. A lot of it is to not talk to each other, not engage, like, silence. I just think
Yeah.
I feel like from that school to prison pipeline, or you could say the school to corporate pipeline, I think it's really interesting
100%.
that it's all, like, feeding into it, but then I think what's hard about for me was in school, you had to pass. That's the rule. You get rewarded for being good, and, like, we're all conditioned to behave that way, and then you get to corporate, me thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna excel because 'cause I'm a hard worker." That's not it's like it reverses on you and you get it's a weird feeling because it's like, you go through school being conditioned to be very obedient, and then you get somewhere and are kind of supporting the system, and then
Yep.
you find out that that's actually not the expectation. It's weird because I feel like all
It's
of our training is it just
It's
sets you
funny
up for
you say
failure.
that because I feel like going into corporate is like running headfirst into a brick wall because you are just so excited. You think you have completely false expectations, or at least I did, completely false expectations about what you're actually getting into.
Mhm.
You have all of this dedication and excitement where at least what's so funny? I don't think younger generations are doing this now, which I think is awesome. I think that, the generations entering the workforce, I think even Gen Z, I feel like the millennials, like us millennials, were the last generation to be like drinking the corporate Kool-Aid and
Yeah.
be like, I want to be a part of this and I want to be on this team and I will throw myself at this company with everything I have and break myself in half and then crash out of corporate and when I'm in my 30s and try to put back to pieces of who I am after total devastation because this place ruined me
I
permanently
mean,
and I'm probably
it
going to end up with an autoimmune disease. Like I feel like millennials did that.
Yeah, and I think it's because we saw our parents and our grandparents kinda talk about like, we saw them doing it mostly, or I mean, I saw
Yeah.
my dad growing up, though, he always worked odd, jobs because he didn't have, an education.
Okay.
So, like, he would work nights sometimes or just once he got, like, a regular job. Anyway, I'm just thinking of, like, how I grew up and, like, seeing people work.
Yeah.
My mom was always tired, she had, like, a traditional 9 to 5 accountant role, um but you kinda know what you grow up around, neurodivergent or not, you
Right.
know? So it's like
No, that's so true.
I didn't have any
Yeah,
entrepreneurs in my life. I didn't know any
me either.
successful, like, everybody I
That is
knew
such a good point. Yeah.
were just, like, workers. They just work because they
Right.
have no like, that's what you do. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's obviously, if you have money too, you're gonna be more likely to be an entrepreneur, but not always, but if you just don't grow up around people diversity,
Yeah.
you just you can't even dream bigger than what's being fed to you because it's like, yeah, you're go to school, get a degree, go to college, get a job. Okay. Because yeah, everyone else around me, like I saw my dad not having an education, and I was like, oh, he doesn't have a lot of opportunities for like better jobs because I don't want to work nights or weekend, like I would see that.
Right.
And then I saw though how tired a 9 to 5 made my mom. So it was kind of also like, what am I like? Is this what you have to look forward to? And my parents are divorced, so like I don't. There's so much to unpack there of like if you follow the guideline and have this like cookie cutter life, nobody's cookie cutter though. So it's like everyone's almost forcing themselves into, I think, like a role, neurotypical or not.
You are killing it. Yes. I completely
I
agree.
just
No, you're
think
nailing it.
I'll step
Like
off the
you
soapbox.
and I have lots of conversations, but I don't think we've really like talked about what we really believe and what we've observed and like we're so on the same page.
I've learned a lot from, like, Gen Z and younger people, to be
Me
honest, as a
too.
millennial. I feel like
Me
they get
too.
pooped on a lot.
I
Um,
hate Okay. That might be my number one biggest pet peeve. I freaking hate when people talk down to younger generations. Like, where do you think the
Yeah.
younger generations came from? You guys. So
And, like,
maybe
where do
let's
you
not.
think they're learning this attitude?
Right.
Like,
Like,
I
and a
don't.
lot of times they're like an outcome of their circumstances.
Mhm.
Gen Z and younger generations have no interest in throwing themselves at capitalism because they see that there's no incentive to do so.
Yeah. They're growing up knowing it's all not real
Which is
versus
so cool to me.
millennials, like, weren't
Like,
we thought. Yeah.
it's so funny because in my last role, I worked with a Gen Z. I'm not gonna say Gen Z kid, but I know that's not right. I worked with a kid. He seems like a kid, but he was Gen Z, and it was hilarious because he thought everything was so stupid, and he would vocalize how stupid he thought it was.
Yes.
And I
I've, like,
remember, like, they
witnessed
are
this.
not this like he was not this like eager person that was like, yes, please teach me whatever. I'll do whatever. I'll say whatever. I'll act however. He was like, why do you guys say out of pocket? And you mean like you're not available. Just say you're not available. And he's like, I know that out of pocket means, like you're about to lose your shit. It doesn't mean that you're not available. Like he would laugh at the stuff. Like, why do you guys
That's
do
so
this? And why
funny.
all the kind of like culture, like the let's circle back and like all that kind of like drone culture, which actually leads into my number 5. All of the drone culture,
Yeah.
he would just like call it out. And so I used to joke with him. I was like, if I don't get to be out of pocket this Friday, I'm gonna be acting out of pocket. Like
That's hilarious.
it's so funny. And yeah, so it just like they kind of just like break the rules. I love that. I mean, it's so necessary. And actually, I'm so glad you brought that up because I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. I actually think that's a big reason why corporations are gonna fail
Ooh. Just
because
'cause the
we
labor force is
are the
different.
last generation that bought their bullshit. They have taken it so far that at this point, there is no reason why any other younger generation would throw themselves at such a bad deal.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I feel like some millennials, I think like us, that have kind of are exploring outside of the traditional path, like,
Yeah.
we see it, like, we can't unsee it. It
We
took us
can't
longer to see
unsee
it.
it. I always say that in my videos. I want to make a list of
I
like
probably got
what
that
are
from you.
I say it all know my I know. See, I consider my videos as like deprogramming people. I think I've said this to you before. And I want to make a list of like once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that is like how you bust spells, we were put under the corporate spell and it worked on
Mhm.
us. I mean, I remember just like I will die for this company kind of mindset when I
Yeah,
walked in the door.
I really want it to be like any job I've had, like, you when I was a teacher, like, you want it's almost, like, cringy to say or admit, like, work doing a good job makes me feel good. I don't know if that's, like, a praise
That's a
kink.
good thing though. That's a good thing. There's a difference between the satisfaction of achieving something
Yeah.
versus I'm willing to throw myself in a wood chipper to win at this system, like regardless of my own well-being. It's just there's just a difference. And I think
No,
when
I
it
feel
goes
that.
back to that comment about, what was your parents' relationship with work and what did they teach you about it? I actually
Mhm.
think that I was ultimately like, I actually have a theory that a lot of people inside of corporations are just trying to impress their mommy and daddy. That they're really
Oh,
just trying to
I
win
like
their
that.
mommy and daddy's approval. And
That's
they've
really funny.
or they've like replaced their authoritarian parents with an authoritarian organization.
Oh,
I know
ooh.
it's all dark. It's dark.
Oh,
Okay,
this is,
so
like,
let's get back to
very.
the list though, because actually I keep revealing more of my list stuff. So
Yeah.
my number 5 is kind of
Mhm.
similar to yours because yours is like inhumane, lack of empathy,
Mhm. I'm
and
pulling
just
up
kind
my
of like
list.
pretending. Mine is lighter as a number 5. It's so serious and so professional, you can't have a personality.
That's similar because yeah, like, lack of humanity. Like.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
interesting because I could not I didn't realize this till I got out, but I realized it
Mhm.
almost feels like you're in the military. Now, I want to give a caveat. I personally only worked at really big corporations. And I think that's where my disdain really comes from. That's why my disdain is so extreme, because I
Mhm.
only worked at um, places that, like, to me are almost considered to be what is called total institutions. By some sociologists, they called it total institutions, where they control a lot of your, they control you a lot. And I feel
Mhm.
like really, really big organizations that have thousands and thousands of employees, they're so big and powerful that they have a lot of control over your life. And I think one of those things is like this corporate persona that people wear. It becomes their entire identity. Oh, we're moving to 4.
Yes. Okay, do you want me to go first?
Sure, why
Or
not?
do
We
you
can
want
switch up after the next one.
Okay. False urgency for everything
Yes.
except your raises, your concerns, your questions, and your promotions. That's not urgent.
That's like a whole, we should put that somewhere, because that is like so catchy and so true.
I honestly wanted that one to be number one, but anyway, yeah, self-explanatory, I feel.
Which is something that we talked about with the characteristics of white supremacy, which is something I learned from something,
Mhm.
and remember the source of where I read it from, but that false sense of urgency, I feel like, is just manufactured so that everybody runs around so much and just is like chickens with their heads cut off, that they don't have time to actually see what's going on or actually make effective change.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah.
such a good one.
Yeah, false urgency. I agree with everything you're saying, and I'm just thinking of like I've always unless you're like obviously urgency at a hospital, I don't know, oil rig, that sounds dangerous. Like I think that's like
Yeah.
going to kill people. Urgency is different. But I feel like in an office, is
Well,
it
especially, okay, I love that you said this one, because one of the things I think about too, the false sense of urgency, this is one thing I also hated and I wish I could add to my list. I could have a really long list if I really got into it. It's been a while since I think about how much I like hated corporate, because I've been away from it for over 3 years now.
Mhm.
Amazing. But the thing is, they have the false sense of urgency where they're basically like, "Here, take this thing and run at the highest speed you can run at to get this done, because we need it done now, 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 now."
Mhm.
And then you'll do that for like 6 months in a row, and they'll cancel the project.
Yeah. Or they just don't nobody looks at it
So it's like
like for
the false
days or
sense of
whatever.
urgency is so true. It's one thing to be urgent because you're moving with purpose and you have a deadline that's actually logical.
You
But what they
literally
do
just
is they like make you chase things,
mhm.
and then they'll kill the thing that they made you chase. And then they'll be like, "Oh, okay, well, here's the next thing that I want you to chase." And I don't want you to think about it. I don't want you to be upset that we wasted your time for 6 months. You're not allowed to have any issues with this. But
Mhm.
here's the next thing. Go run at this like your life depends on it. And it's like, well, what if you cancel this thing?
Yeah.
And so you lose trust, but then you're still supposed to have all of the stamina in the world to just keep pushing at whatever they point you. They want you to be just like a brainless person that doesn't have your own perspectives, that's just willing to chase anything, do as you're told, and not even
Yeah.
think about it.
And I mean,
Oh,
I think that's kinda how we're raised. Like, do
yep.
as you're told. Don't ask why. Like, context
Yeah,
context is everything, and I feel like we don't push that. Like, just don't
right.
question anything. Just everything's flat. Like, what I don't it's so bizarre to me.
So back
Mhm.
to my number 4. My number 4, and I think you're I'm one because I'm wondering if you agree, is it so corporate is so anti ADHD.
Yeah. Yes.
The schedule sucks. The work itself is boring as hell. Like, we don't
Yeah.
like checking I don't like checking boxes. Just realizing how badly I was treated because I have ADHD.
Mhm.
like you forget a deadline for something that's insignificant. It's like almost all of the performance is all performance that doesn't go with ADHD.
Yes, that my number 3, like,
Yes.
I tie it into that because it
Yes.
really matches? My number 3 thing is arbitrary deadlines and titles. I really struggle, like,
Yes.
you literally like, that was my number 3 of, like, I think because of AD like, I need deadlines that make sense, and I need context. When I ask why I don't know if
Yeah.
you've had that experience of, like, if you
Oh,
ask too many
totally.
questions, and I guess it can come off as rude, and I'm in a workplace now where that's not the case. It's so what, like, everyone can ask questions and it's fine. Like, it's not a big deal. It's not seen as, like, an offense or an insult, I guess,
Right.
which I it was weird for me to learn that as part of that, which I feel like that ties into the arbitrary deadlines and, like, titles, because 'cause I'm like, "Who does what? What does that mean?" Like,
Yeah.
it's and, like, people getting random promotions or, like, things, like, that happens all the time, and it's like,
Yeah.
what do these titles really mean? Like, what does that person really do? And then, like, no one knows.
It is funny when you get into these places and you think they're going to be some like very organized and like
Mhm.
very put together and lots of really good process. And like you get in and it's just a shit show. And you're just like, how are you guys in business? I used to joke with my coworkers that I used to really love, like you felt like working at this big organization was like going and lifting up a rock and seeing like a messed up city under it and putting the rock back down. Like, okay, just like
That's
I'm
so
gonna walk
funny.
away from that because it just seemed like everywhere you went, you would just find another gigantic disorganized mess.
Mhm.
Because they don't
No.
really care about being efficient. They just care about like how can we profit to the max this quarter, and we don't care if we have to use our organization like it's a missile on
Mhm.
the economy, like, and thrash everybody inside because we're just seeking money like drug addicts, you know?
Yeah. You're, like, hitting my number 1, but
Am I? Okay.
in that sentence, but yes.
Okay. So we're on, did you do number 3?
Mhm.
Okay. My number 3, it's really important to me, is it's a dictatorship. It's way too authoritarian. I
Mhm.
cannot stand how authoritarian it is. I had authoritarian parents. My parents were insanely controlling, cruel, cold, serious, like the thing I talked about. And I don't want to be controlled. It's a lot of times it makes you feel like you're being treated like a child.
Yes.
Like, for instance,
Just
why are we
asking
all
for time
getting,
off.
yeah, asking for time off, getting dragged back in the office for remote work? Why are
Yeah.
we getting dragged back into office for remote work? Because it's not actually more productive. We know you just want to control us. 5-day work weeks, we know you just want to control us because if we have another day off, we might actually be able to get away from you, or like rest enough that you can't abuse us because we're so sleep deprived and exhausted that we're easy to manipulate. Like
Mhm.
it's a dictatorship. I saw a video that I loved the other day where this woman was like, why do we expect our government to act like a democracy but not our workplaces? Like, why don't we, the
That's
working,
interesting.
oh, like think about it. Like, look at the companies I worked for. They had like 25,000 people in one company. Ernst and Young, the
Whoa.
most evil consulting company ever, which uh, horrible, horrible place to work. When I worked there, they have 300,000 employees globally, right?
Whoa.
Why don't the workers have a say?
Because that's just not how the hierarchy is. Ooh,
You
sorry,
would
that was
think it
my
would
dog.
be like, "Hey, do all the workers think that, like, what do they think?" No, they like, you're supposed to just take orders.
Mhm.
It's a dictatorship. Why is it a dictatorship?
That hierarchy where it's like it's a democracy, but it's really not.
It's
Again,
right.
adding to the performative, like, all of it's so
Yes.
performative.
It's all a lie.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Oh, okay, mine was 3 was authoritarian, so now we're on number 2.
Yes, and my number 3 was the arbitrary deadlines and titles. My
Yep.
number 2 kind of goes with the authoritarianism. I put conformity is rewarded, semicolon.
Yeah.
Innovation is seen as a threat. Um,
Yes. Oh
even if they
my
use
gosh.
even if
Yes.
they use words like innovative, because I feel like that's such a buzzword. Um,
Or we want the my pet peeve is we want the change makers. No, you
yeah.
don't. You liars. So anyway, I worked in product development and like you're supposed to create change, like you're supposed to develop the product, you're supposed to
Mhm.
innovate. And they never actually wanted that. They just wanted the executives would be like, I think it should have a button here. And you'd be like, how did you come to that conclusion besides it's just your one-off opinion from somebody that honestly I don't even respect? And that's what I hated
Mhm.
too. It's like just because you're senior doesn't mean that I respect your opinion.
Yeah, going back to like arbitrary titles of
Yes. Wait, what was yours again? I'm already they don't want innovation,
yes, they don't want
but they say they
conformity.
do.
They do, yeah,
And
but
they
they
don't want
don't.
people to actually change the organization for the better. They just say they do. And I was saying, I worked in product development, and a lot of what I did was work on the internal products and software that the company used to operate.
Mhm.
So, do you know what would happen to me? My life was hell because we were
Oh,
supposed to innovate. We were supposed to change the organization internally. Those were the majority of the roles. And you get fried doing that because you're like,
I
they
can
don't actually
imagine.
want change. And then you work
Mhm.
on products and yeah, yeah. I obvious that one got me going. So I completely agree.
Yeah, that's my number 2. What's your number 2? Is yours different?
No, mine is a curveball in the sense of like I don't mine is kind of like big in general. So my
Mm.
number 2 and my number 1 kind of work together. My number 2 is that I knew I wouldn't reach my full potential and
Oh.
not in the win at capitalism way where it's like I want to be a high achiever. I'm talking to the high achievers. I think that's such toxic language a lot of times. I think about it in the way of like becoming a whole person. And it
I
gets
like
kind
that.
of to the word integrity. That's a word I've used a lot in this journey of like, having integrity, being a whole person.
Mhm.
I wanted to be whole. And I knew I was never going to be in those spaces. And the reason I knew
Good
that, and I think
point.
this message is important for people, because when I make my videos, a lot of times I'm, like I say, trying to deprogram.
Mhm.
A lot of the education I feel like I'm doing is just all the things I had to learn from surviving narcissistic abuse and just
Mhm.
realizing how much it demolished my sense of self to the point that I didn't even
Mhm.
have one. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like I experienced some pretty severe narcissistic abuse, like really cold cruelty. You don't really get to have boundaries between yourself and other people because the narcissist you're
Mhm.
around is constantly breaking your boundaries down. Like you're just I can't even put it all into words, but as I learned about that, I
Mhm.
learned that how much your environment matters for your well-being. Like
Yeah.
the system that you're a part of, when you're a part of an organization, they're going to influence your sense of self. They're going to influence who you are as a person, your personality. You have to constantly live in fear because they're so authoritarian. I
Mhm.
remember you always feel like you're going to get in trouble and you don't know why. And some of that's the ADHD.
Yes.
Like, "Oh, did I miss a form? Did I forget a checkbox?"
That's
Like,
so
you're always
real.
paranoid. How can
You
you
know,
be a whole, complete person if you're always paranoid?
yeah.
And why are we being paranoid about decks, like, doing presentations for people that are probably not even gonna read it, you know? Like, it's just abuse for the sake of abuse at a certain point. So my number 2 is kind of like who I wanted to be and what it was doing to me, and how I
Mhm.
knew I was never going to get where I wanted to go being inside of a sick environment surrounded by a bunch of sick people and answering to a bunch of authoritarian narcissists,
Mhm.
which is I feel like I've said this in videos before. I feel like corporate America is crawling with narcissists.
I feel like that's the only way you can enjoy the system. That makes sense.
Yes. Right, like, they like it. Like, they like it.
Mhm.
It's a playground for them.
I
And,
think
like,
it's just a different
go ahead, sorry.
oh,
I'm on a
it's
real
just kind of
rant.
a yeah. No, it's cool. I just think it's interesting because I don't know if it's malicious, actually. Maybe I'm being too empathetic. You're like I see it more
Remember
as
what do you see it as? I'm curious.
I kinda just see it as, like, everyone's just trying to survive, and some people are better at the performance than others. And
No, girl.
no, I'm
That
being
is
too
so true about
empathetic.
people like us. Like,
Oh,
so this is how I see it.
okay.
You can either be a narcissist inside a corporate and it's your playground and you love that because and then or you can be a codependent that's never going to be in recovery because you're always going to be actively fighting off narcissists and those
Mhm.
narcissists want to inflict pain on you. That was the hardest lesson. You
I
know,
think
what's
that's
I think
still
is interesting.
mhm,
I feel like the shoes drop for people.
mhm.
Like first you realize, like if you get to a point basically where you realize your own mother enjoys making your life hell. I had my adoptive mother was extremely sadistic. Like
That's
I
awful.
knew she enjoyed embarrassing me. I knew she enjoyed publicly humiliating me. I knew that she would she would mock me with things like I knew that she enjoyed doing it.
That makes me feel really sad and really naive because I would just hope that people wouldn't mean it, you know? And I
Right.
think that's really I think I know logically that it's just I don't want to accept that that's real, but when you say that, it just breaks my heart.
And think about it's sad and also I mean I've learned so much from it and I was just I feel like I reached a point and I think this happens I think I started to say this. I feel like I reached a point where it was just like I'm sick of being like narcissistically abused
Mhm.
and I will do anything to not ever be around or like as little as possible be around narcissists. And like that's almost like that ties in really well to my number 2 as well is like basically, feeling like I I don't like that you can't choose who you work with. I almost lost the
Mhm.
thought but I got it back. I feel like I don't like that you can't choose because you could have a manager that's really really cool and
Mhm.
everything could be going great. And then all of a sudden they could move to a different department and you can then all of a sudden have the most vile, evil manager that is literally going to ruin your life. And
Mm.
I was so sick of dealing with people that were just ruining my life because they were mentally ill. And it was just kind of like, why are we tolerating this? We know why, right? Like we say why, we know we can point to all the things, but
Mhm.
it just disgusts me that we tolerate. Let me go on a little bit more of a rant here, okay? Because this is making me think of why I stay so motivated around this, all of this.
Yeah.
We we normalize so many people are getting so horrifically abused inside of corporations as employees. And management is stomping on people's heads and psychologically torturing people and then getting promotions. And I think like especially as somebody that's very justice sensitive, like it's unacceptable and it's disgusting. And why
Mhm.
aren't these people being held accountable for all the harm they're causing? And I would you make videos on social media, like I make videos specifically mostly on TikTok, and when
Mhm.
you get waves and waves of comments of how horrible people are doing because they're getting horrifically abused in their workplaces, it will enrage you because you're just like, this does not need to be happening.
Yeah. It's sad that it's so relatable. I think that's what
Yeah.
makes me, like, really feel naive about it. It's just that's wild that there's so many people that are in way
I
worse
mean,
situations that I've been in, and
hundreds of comments, like, these are the themes of the comments, and it's sickening, and
mhm,
I pretty much read every single comment I've gotten, and I've gotten definitely thousands of comments by this point,
mhm,
and and the reason I point out thousands of comments is, like, when I was in product development, a lot of times you do consumer research, and you're basically, like, getting the sentiment of consumers. I feel like I
mhm.
was doing employee research.
Yeah,
And what you do is you interview people, you do surveys, you give feedback. If I'm getting flooded with comments, I'm essentially like surveying the public, and I'm
mhm.
getting all, I mean, a lot of the themes were, like how sick people, physically sick they're getting. They're they're throwing up at night. They're losing their hair. That happened to me. I was losing my hair, but like that was a combination of things of
Mhm.
narcissistic stress that I was under coming from all directions, not just work, but work was also very bad. They're losing their hair. They're throwing up. They can't sleep at night. They're constantly anxious. Their managers are doing this to them and that to them. Like all the things, just physically sick, mentally sick, completely distressed and stressed out. For what?
Yeah.
And so I realized, like, this is what I always say, I make the videos, I always say, you cannot be a good employee in a bad environment. You
Yeah.
cannot be a whole person in a place that's systematically trying to take you apart.
I wanted to say period, everything you're saying.
Right? Like,
But I was
and I
holding it
think,
in, but I'm like,
right?
"Mhm, mhm." Like, I just
Yeah, I
but
mean, thank you,
you're
like, for
like you're
going to this
cooking right
serious
now.
place with me, but, like, it's
Mhm,
messed up. And so I got to a point where it was just, I'll do whatever it takes to stay out of those places.
mhm,
I mean, being out, and it makes it sound like I literally got out of prison. I feel like institutionalized, you know?
mhm.
I should look up the definition of a total institution, but it's describes corporate. It's like they control
Yeah,
when you eat, they control your schedule, they control when you wake up, they control when you go to sleep. Corporate does all those things. That's why it's 9 to 5,
that's
5 days
crazy.
a week. That's why
Yeah,
everybody walks to the lunchroom at the same time. It's a high control environment, and I feel like I'm not watching my back anymore.
yeah,
Well, now I just have to watch my back with the government, like,
yeah, no, that's real, and
so.
I will say there are unicorns out there, because I'm at it. Not every corporate I mean, I don't wanna I'm, like, invalidating everybody that's had a horrible there are a lot of bad ones, but there's some gems in there is what I'm saying.
And I think it's kind of like dating men. Like, you really got to dig through the pile.
Yeah, there's some gems, some
It's not like
unicorns.
they're not out there, but I feel like it's the exception, not the rule. And
Thank you,
as
that's yeah.
Yeah, and as somebody that m- doesn't want to work for any type of organization and instead wants to build a media brand and advocate for workers
Mhm,
and like advocate for neurodivergent women, I see myself as kind of like wanting to always look at the system and criticize the system.
yeah,
And we should be able to criticize the system. It should be held accountable at the highest standard. And I think that goes back to where I was saying I've actually worked at mostly mega corporations,
yeah,
and I have to ask, why are the companies with the biggest amount of power, the most massive institutions, the most abusive and dysfunctional? That is completely unacceptable. If the bigger the institution, the bigger, and I'm saying institution on purpose because that's what these corporations are at this point. And I'm talking about like
mhm,
Walmart,
yeah.
Amazon.
I've never worked for a super big one, I guess, except for Sears.
And that's where I'm really Sears counts. So
Mhm,
like Sears falls under there. Those are the ones that I have the experience with. And this is where I'm talking about like it's everybody's behaving badly under in those organizations for the most part. Yes, are there good spots? Yes, but overall they're very dysfunctional. They're either a functional family or a dysfunctional family, and I don't think your
yeah,
workplace should be a family, but I feel like they're
mhm,
dysfunctional organizations, and I do not understand why we accept, I do understand, but it is unacceptable that these massive corporations who should be held to the highest standard are this abusive and toxic and dysfunctional and this destructive on working people and
Mhm.
consumers. They're a cancer on society,
Yeah, that's real. Like, I don't
right?
and it doesn't I get yeah, I do understand, but it doesn't make sense to me logically because I feel like everyone can win. Like, I don't think we have to be mean to people. I really think
There
we can all,
it's
like
actually good yeah, like it's
mm
actually good for business to do the right thing.
mhm.
They're just trying to take it all. They don't at the they could be so much better, but they choose to instead not be as good so that they can just take everything from everyone. They're completely selfish.
Yeah, it makes me really
So
sad.
messed up, right? But I think
Like, I think it's I don't
on a
know.
happy note, I will just so we can make sure to make this clear. I think it is really cool that you found a good organization and this is the kind of stuff that I want to continue to talk about because
Yeah.
I come from the perspective of like being very anti big corp, like for good reason.
Mhm,
And it's been interesting to watch you go from when I saw you at the last place you were at to where you are now at this new organization. You always have good stuff to say about them.
mhm.
You have changed as a person.
Yes, it's been a very healing job, and to talk about my tarot for 1 second,
Yeah, please do.
I did I went to a reader to help me kind of define the energy between my consulting, my tarot, and my current job, and
Mhm.
I wanted her, like, to pull a card for each because I was trying to figure out just, like, balancing things. And for my full-time job that I have right now, the card that came out was the star, and that's like traditionally like the card of like healing. And it's of the
I
major
love
arcana.
that.
And
I've
I was like,
seen that.
it has been a very healing job for me. That's a really good description.
'Cause I remember meeting you, and since I already gave away all your business when I met you and, like, you were like, I could tell that you were struggling, like, you were seeking answers, you were wondering what was wrong and, like, why you were having such a bad time, and I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of times when we're going through that, we think there's something wrong with us.
Yes.
And then magically, not magically, you left the bad environment you were in, and you
Mhm.
left the dysfunctional people you were around, and you put yourself in a new environment around different people and look at
Mhm.
the change.
Yeah. No, that's really real. I've had more time for like interests and hobbies, which have turned into like new
Yeah.
opportunities for me. And it's I can still get do a good job there, and it's not my whole life. And I feel like that's like a interesting it shouldn't be an interesting concept, but it
Yeah,
is.
but it
Like
is.
when everyone's working with that in mind of like this work's really important, but you can also take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It's a yeah.
And I mean, the culture, even though that's like an overused buzzword, but that's why the environment is so important. Who you surround yourself with is so important. That's why it match like, aligned to my number 2 of like, how are you going to become whole? And the word integrity is really about think about the word integrity, like think about the integrity of a bridge.
Mhm.
The integrity of a bridge means it's structurally sound. And you can't be structurally sound as a person when you're in a sick environment. And so
That's
many
true.
people like us, we blame ourselves, you know?
That is really true because that I mean, again, it's like you are what you know around you. So if you grow up in a very hierarchical home
Yeah.
and then you go to school, I feel like it's just like we're conditioned to live like that in a
Yep.
weird way.
Yep. And I feel like a
Um,
lot of that's busting, where people are like, wait a damn second. Like, I feel like we're becoming more conscious of all of this. We're becoming more informed on narcissistic abuse. We're becoming more informed on like toxic work cultures. I think society, I hope it's not just the bubble I'm in, is becoming more educated. Like we talked about, younger generations, I think, are not accepting
mhm.
it anymore.
Well,
Okay,
there's
I have to give
okay.
a quick plug because I just want
Oh
to say
yes.
this so we don't miss it, but I definitely would love to interview you on unemployable women. And then that way, when people see you on the lives and see you like when you do hotline with me, like
Mhm.
they'll be, if they want to be able to hear your story of like where your story, your story of your relationship with work as a neurodivergent woman and what
Mhm.
you're pursuing and why, and how you did the consulting thing and then you've moved on to
The
the like
little
tarot thing, which are doing both kind of like, then people can really see and learn about you and your journey, because I really do feel like we need to learn from each other, and that's so important. It's
it
so
is.
individualistic, we get so broken by individualism, you know.
We do, and I think also that's by design,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Keep everyone the
Divided
lack
and
of like
conquered.
well, this is actually this didn't make my list, but it should have because this is all reminding me of like the lack of third spaces.
Yeah.
So like work becomes everything because there's like nothing else around or there's like nothing to do. You're so
Yeah.
tired. So like company happy hours. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. Like I would go to happy hour with my coworkers all the time. But like, if it's like a mandated event or or you
Right.
feel like you have to go, like you can't say no. Um, I feel like that was a part of a lot of positions I've had before.
I hear that all the time. Like all of
Yeah.
the extracurriculars that don't actually feel like they're for like socializing, they feel like they're more like compliance checking almost.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to mix work with friends, like when
Yeah.
you're in it. And like you do become friendly with people, but there's still like that boundary. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there should be boundaries at work though too. But that's why it's weird that it's supposed to be like if we don't have third spaces or time to connect outside of work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it's so true. Okay, also another shameless plug about the stuff that's happening with Overshare. Like I was going to say I was telling and I was going to say a name, one of our mutual friends, about how I kind of want Overshare to be like a universe for neurodivergent women,
mhm,
and just how we're navigating the world and how we're navigating work. And so like we'll have this live show.
mhm.
We'll have unemployable women, which is going to be me interviewing neurodivergent women and their experience and relationship with work, and then like
Okay.
just seeing their journey. So when you see an episode of unemployable women, you're going to be able to see like learn from other neurodivergent women's journeys as they figure it out, to see like what you could learn from it, and maybe like talk to somebody that's doing unique jobs, talk to people that are leaving corporate and what they're doing, talk to you
Yeah.
and how you're balancing a full-time role and some interests outside of it. So that's going to be
Mhm,
unemployable women. And then of course about Overshare Social Club,
mhm.
which is kind of like Unemployable Women was originally, for the people that watch this, Unemployable Women was originally a group that I created because I wanted to help neurodivergent women escape corporate, because I had escaped corporate, and the first thing you want to do when you escape a cult is help other people escape a cult.
Mhm.
And then as I went through that journey and we all were meeting together, we were all talking about our journeys and talking about what we were doing, we all got so close and so bound. It's like one of the best experiences of my life. Like speaking
Mhm.
of that, like memorable
It
friend
really
group
was.
around work, amazing. And we all just started like, well, maybe I don't want to leave my organization. Maybe I just want to find other interests, or like we all just started navigating what we want to do. And so now the community is reopening, not as unemployable women, but instead as Overshare
Mhm.
Social Club, because the lesson we learned from that experiment, that almost year-long experiment of unemployable women, by the way, we
Yeah.
learned that really we just need to be, not just, but we, if we're seen and witnessed and known by each other as neurodivergent women, and we have a place to socialize and connect with
Yeah.
each other and be humans with each other and learn from each other, that's value by itself. Like I realized that capitalism had infiltrated my brain even when I opened Unemployable Women, because basically the group originally was about taking the corporate to founder leap, which is
Mhm.
essentially, let me join my group so you can win at capitalism, if you think
Yeah.
about it. And so now it's like we close that because the experiment proved that like it needed to be different. And what we really needed is a shared space to like connect and grow and talk and like know each other and have a space to know each other.
Yeah, it's just again, yeah, that lack of community building and it not. I was thinking of, oh gosh, I feel like I'm scared to say this because it's religious, but I always think
Oh,
of church. I'm gonna
right.
like, I think of that idea of you work all week, you pretty much get one day off, like
Yep.
traditionally Saturday, but then you have to go to church on Sunday if you'd like, and
Yeah.
be told more rules or reminded of rules. And then you go to work and there's all these, right? Like it's almost like the way
Yeah.
of like maximizing like how little time you have to actually just like think for yourself.
Like exist and yeah, and be with each other and learn with each other. Like
Hmm.
I learned so much from the women in Unemployable Women, the
Me
group.
too.
Like I learned so much just by witnessing what other
Hmm.
women were doing. And that's what I want a lot of this media to be and the content to be as well. Is like if you we we learn from each other so much. We they took that from us. You
Hmm.
know, I hear your story and I see what you're doing, and just watching you doing something courageous gives me courage. Watching you just taking a chance on something makes
Hmm.
me want to do it too. You know, like those are things that
I love that.
that's what community is.
Hmm.
You know, and I always like I knew something was off with Unemployable Women because not because of the group or anybody in it because it was so amazing, but because I realized towards it, like I always kind of felt like an unsettling feeling on what I was going to offer inside the group. Like, what am I teaching? Why are we here?
Hmm.
And the instinct being like, we're here because we're all building businesses. And we're here
Hmm.
because you need to open an LLC and you need to learn accounting and you need to learn marketing strategies and you need to, like, all of it is all of this performance and productivity and like, how can you be you as an individual win at capitalism if you think about it? And think about
Hmm.
how much capitalism and winning at capitalism infiltrates everything.
Yeah.
And
No.
the entire point of this group now, this community now, is going to be like, let's just all socialize and have a good time.
Yeah, and like talk about what we're doing because
Yeah,
I
and
think.
our definition of a good time is like talking about our interests, talking about our hobbies, discussing like what we did on this entire live, like discussing what matters and having really deep
Hmm.
discussions. Like I think that's why Overshare and like I said I kind of want to build publicly, so that's kind of why I'm going into these details. So thank you for allowing me to do that. But
Hmm.
like Overshare is kind of like for neurodivergent women a lot, it's considered oversharing to want to talk about politics. It's considered oversharing to say, "Hey, I'm getting abused here. What do I do?" Like, or this is an environment that I was not okay. Like, you cannot. It should not be oversharing to speak the truth about what's really going on in the world and like in our
Hmm.
lives. You know?
Hmm. I 100% agree with that, but it's like we're raised to just make sure people aren't uncomfortable. I don't know if that's how
Yeah.
I don't know if men can relate to that. Um, but I feel like that's I don't know, I feel like that's how I was raised. I don't know if it
Yep.
was my parents. I don't even know if it might have just been society, I don't know. But
Right.
kind of like to just not.
I almost just one more thing. I almost named it instead of calling it overshare. I was thinking like opposite of small talk. I almost called
I
it
l
like big talk. You know what I mean? Like neurodivergent
I
women want
like
to do
that
big talk,
too.
not small talk, right? Like, yeah, maybe we'll use it somewhere. What I really like is with the
That's
Substack and
hilarious.
everything, like you can come up with as many names as you want to
Mhm.
because it's like, oh, well, let's do a column called this. And I don't know if you've seen the Substack. I'm thinking about doing some type of live or episode or something, just
Mhm.
actually walking through the entire Overshare universe, as I'm saying.
Ooh.
Like, oh, here's our Substack. As you can see, it's blank. Like, we still have so much work to do. This is where our community is. I do think I'm going to ultimately have to open a circle community because I just think it's the best space to contain the calendar and everything. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like, here's our Discord. Like, this is, just like almost having company meetings publicly, I think would be really cool. And what I
Mhm.
really like is on the Substack, like, whatever creative names or things we can come up with can fit under the Overshare magazine.
Yeah.
So,
No, totally. It's such a
Very
big
exciting.
umbrella.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for entertaining that. I love going on those rants about like, this is what I'm doing and why.
No, and I love hearing it because you're right. It's like it's that motivation that we get from each other. Like
And that's
we
what I,
hype each other up.
yes. Yes, and that's what I wanna do in the
Hmm.
group, like, I wanna have sessions where we could spotlight different neurodivergent women's, like, what they're working on. So you can
Hmm.
join. Oh, I haven't even been able to tell you all this. We're gonna have to have, like, a separate meeting so I can tell you all this, but we're gonna have a group where different women can pick, like, let's say we'll have, I don't know what to call it, but let's 3 women could fill the slots each week, and those 3 women get to just have the floor, essentially, of the meeting to talk
Hmm.
about what they're working on. And they don't have to like give a presentation or do anything. They could just say like, "Oh, this is what I happened for me recently and this is what I'm interested in," just like I just did.
Hmm.
So then there could be 2 other women then that got a turn to go and everybody could just listen and get ideas and
Yeah,
witness what's happening. Like that to me was the magic of unemployable women.
I agree.
Right? And so many other things that I'm making sure are still inside are still created inside this space, so
Yeah. It's almost like we needed the data for ourselves to be like, "Oh, we're not crazy. There's people like me." So, like, it's not just
yeah.
me, so, like, cool. Like, I know there's like and then I see, like, the cool stuff you were doing or, like, yeah, you just get exposed to this whole new world of, like, "Oh, that's a job?" Or, like, "That's a thing you can" like,
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, like, my world got so much bigger from just meeting people that did different things, and I'll add to that, like, I never thought I would ever wanna own, like, a shop or something because like,
Yeah.
who can do that? But now that I've been doing tarot at Malone's and, like, this would be years in the making, but I just see myself of, like, I wanna own a shop like this or a coffee shop like this, like, why
I
can't
love
I?
that.
And it's really cool meeting women that own a shop like that for years, be successful because I feel like that's a difficult industry, any sort of retail. Um,
Yeah, oh, I did just see, seeing examples of success is so important, and
yeah.
speaking of the list of, like, what I think are almost, like, the principles that I live by now after so much reflection and stuff, one of them is how much women need to be around other like, their elders, like, other elder
Mhm.
women, like, that are a little ahead of the path than they are, and just kind of give them insights and learnings, and, like and that, again, is what community is.
It's that deep.
It
It
is.
it, like, runs in everything, like
You know, and it's to kind of almost circle back to where we started in the conversation where I said, basically, it feels like with all the advice, you almost have to do the opposite. This is another category where like with
mhm,
all of the advice you get, sometimes you feel like, well, that advice doesn't work for me. So much of it is like, if I would do that, that would actually harm me, not help
mhm.
me.
Yeah, like, you just know intuitively, like, how you feel, and I don't know if most people would agree with this, but I had to actively, like, teach myself how to identify emotions and, like, where I feel it.
Yes.
And, like, it's not easy, and I'm an adult, and, like, only recently am I feeling, like, more confident and understanding, like I think ADHD makes it more difficult, though, too, to understand kind of what's going on. Um, I don't know if you feel that way, but,
110%. I
like,
mean,
I
I
don't feel
like,
in tune with my body.
when you talk to a therapist and the therapist is like, "Oh, you're first off, intellectualizers rise up." I'm 100% an intellectualizer. And when I hear a therapist say like, "Hey, so where do you feel that in your body?" I'd be like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
even what does that mean?" I didn't even know what that meant. Like I feel my body. I don't feel my body. My body's actually pretty numb. And that I think
yeah,
is maybe the ADHD, maybe the neurodivergence, but for me, I actually think it's the trauma history. I think I had to cut my
I can see
brain and
that.
body are so disconnected that
Yeah,
I feel like I'm not even attached. Sometimes I feel like my consciousness of where my mind is like up in the ceiling. like up out of my body. Like I'm thinking all the way in the distance. And I have to remind
Yeah.
myself, like, come back down inside your your avatar. Like,
Yeah. No,
it's a lot.
that's so real. I always feel like I'm a little alien
Yeah. I always
and
say like my
I get
avatar.
tired.
And this is the other fun
Yeah.
thing too of like getting away from the serious personality. I feel my personality emerging ever since, which is really nice. And I
I
do
have a
sometimes just do ridiculous things, or like not ridiculous, but like silly things where I was like, time to move my avatar. Like it just literally feels like,
It does, and it almost
yeah,
makes it fun. Okay, I have like a morbid fun with it. Like
yeah,
so I grew up playing video games, like really nerdy, like role playing RPGs, like Final Fantasy, and I love like big long storylines and side quests. And I had this like epiphany recently, probably in the last like 2 to 3 years of like what if I what if I'm just like a little sim, like what you're saying, a little
yeah,
vessel, and I have
yeah,
side quests and I've like treated my life like I've almost like gamified my life and it's made it way more ADHD friendly because I just see like in video games, my favorite part were the side quests. So like I don't even want to finish the game. So like I've like applied that to my like how I view life
I
of
love
like
that.
go on the side quest. Like, oh my gosh, like what is this what like explore any opportunity. Like that's been my vibe lately of just like I'm not gonna say no. Like I want to see like let's just try stuff. Like you only live once, or
Yeah,
you'll only remember this life once. Like you can if you believe in reincarnation or if you've been here before, you just don't remember. I like to think
right.
that like, but maybe a part of you will if you believe in that theory too of like things moving on. But anyway,
It
I just
makes
think
me
it's a
think
nice
too
thought.
of like, it makes me think of like inner child work as well, like just being more kid-like. Like we and
Mm-hmm.
I think that goes back to the whole thing where I feel like these institutions beat the that out of us, where we it's fun to be childlike. Like I'm gonna when I do short form video and I finally get the microphone stick thing, whatever it's called, that I and you see it's bedazzled, like I'm going to bedazzle it, and like dancing again and joking around. Like I talk to myself all the time now, and that
Yeah.
is such a big part of the process. And speaking of being whole, I don't think you can do that inside the walls of a toxic environment.
No, and I think what you're describing, which I'm gonna bring a little bit of my like woo woo
Yeah.
like
Okay,
belief
do
and
it.
well, I just think like what you're describing is like joy, like I always think of like the way like you're born crying, but then like I feel like the second emotion you probably learn you're like curious and you smile and you laugh and you dance. Like babies always dance, even if they're not around
Yeah.
people who dance, because we're all,
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
always think of those joyful things that humans innately want, which is community. Like we're social, we're animals, we're social, we want
Right.
community.
Right.
Like we like dancing and singing for whatever reason. Like that's very human.
Yes.
And, like we like music, like we like joy. Like I think it's like almost limiting our capacity for joy in this system. And I think that's on design because it reminds me of like the movie Sinners.
I
I don't know if you
love
saw
that. I have
Sinners and like
not
where
seen
I'm
Sinners, but
going.
I have to see it because
It
I've
reminds
heard
me of
so many
that.
good things about it, but the word joy, that is such a good point. Like these are things we devalue, Like
Hmm.
this is why I feel like we have to I still think I have capitalism deconstruction. I mean we all have deconstruction to do in many categories, but I especially see the capitalism deconstructing that I need to do, because it's like we almost don't even see the value in emotional support. We don't see the value in just enjoying ourselves and being around each other, and
Hmm.
all of the power we get just to be in proximity to each other, how valuable
Hmm.
that is. I mean, when we would have our meetings, we didn't even need to set an agenda for this.
No.
And it's like if you get the right people together, if you're in community with people that understand you and that
Hmm.
they're like that too. You said, you realize there were other people like you. I opened that community not thinking that there were other women like me. I learned that lesson from the community I opened. I was like, oh my gosh, there are other women that are as intense as intense as I am, as
Mm.
inquisitive as I am, like as emotionally intelligent as I am, in the sense of
Yeah.
like, really caring and having empathy and, not wanting to do small talk and not feeling
Yeah.
like, yeah, and the joy thing, like it's just, yeah,
It's
it's
not
so true.
prioritized in our culture. Joy is not prioritized, and, gosh, art. I always think of architecture. It's so everything's so ugly, and you think of, like,
Yeah.
even in history.
Utilitarian.
Yeah, it's like that brutalist style where it's all about efficiency and convenience, just throw it down,
Yeah.
buy the discount paint, paint it like a horrid red color or yellow.
Right, cut
Yeah.
costs. Cut costs at all
Yeah.
costs, right. And that's where I think, like, that's why I keep saying capitalism, because the for profit, the undying need for only profit, and profit being the singular thing that matters, destroys a society. We're watching it
Yeah.
happen.
Well, because I always think of too, if people think like, I always think of that meme where people are like, oh, men used to go to war or men used to do this, and they show like a, Renaissance art piece, like fantastic
Yeah.
chapel. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not that men were, I think the different back then was society actually still, even with, not saying that there's really terrible things in the past, but I think it's a interesting, I want to actually think about this and study this more, like how art and architecture like just reflects the current culture. It's so weird. Like even
No,
fashion
it
trends.
totally does,
Like it's
because
that deep. Like
it
every
yes, because it infiltrated it,
I feel crazy.
because everything
Oh, my little Overshare
everything
dog.
is only being measured by profit.
Mhm.
Everything. Profit has ruined everything. I mean, this is why I kind of like fell into the trap myself with the community. It's like, well, and when I say capitalism, it's basically saying everything is about making money, or
Mhm.
money. Everything is about money. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah.
So it's
No.
like, oh, we
Oh
are
my
only
gosh.
forming a group because it's surrounded about making money.
That's my number one.
Oh, perfect.
That's like the perfect segue, and it's just you can keep going. I put profit over people slash environment slash not really
Yes.
caring about service or quality.
Oh my gosh, I used to hate that.
That's number
I still
one.
hate that. Yeah. That's a really good one. I mean, yeah, I cannot stand that. It's ruining society,
It is, and I
because
really think
you
we can all win. We don't have to have this like hierarchy where only certain people are,
taking
I think
everything.
I think a question people don't ask themselves, and this is only something I've asked myself in like the past 5 years, how much is enough? You need to have an enough. And if you don't have an enough, like if you don't know what good enough is for like money, I really think that messes you up because you have this distorted vision of like I just think of like who people that are billionaires, I don't truly believe they're ever really happy because you keep needing more. It's never enough. And I
Okay,
know what it
so
feels like to feel like something's never enough. And it's not happy. That's not a joyful feeling.
no, and here's this, I really love that, because something that I learned as I was learning about narcissistic abuse, which I think is just
Hmm.
such, I think that there is like a narcissistic abuse epidemic in this world. Like that, it's corporations, and is that unsettling for you? Oh, I know, I'm
That's
sorry.
I know, I feel like again, it makes me feel like a baby because I hate that that's like a thing that there's
But
me like.
here's the good news and the bad news, right? This is how
Mhm.
I looked at it after being terrified by it for a very long time, and disgusted by it and horrified and all those things, because it's like, why does this exist? Like, I used to think deep down they care. I used to think that all about everybody on the planet, deep down, if you really go down there and you really dig under all the rubble of all of their dark soul, but they don't. And you know what? I actually think the difference between caring and not caring is fundamental. So anyway, when I learned about narcissistic abuse, one thing that I learned is that they're basically like a bucket with a hole in the bottom, and their bucket can never be
Oh.
filled. Their bucket is always leaking. It can never be filled. So it always has to be refilled and refilled and refilled. They constantly need external validation, good or bad, to acknowledge their existence essentially, and they can
Mhm.
never reach that point when you say enough. I
Uh-huh.
like to use the word satisfied.
Mhm.
I didn't even notice a difference. Are you good?
Sorry, like
Okay.
my laptop just turned, I don't know it did this. It has like this light that just appeared and it's making me look real tan.
I think you look nice.
Okay,
Well, or is it that I'm just very pale? Like,
I don't know. Maybe it's just on my end. Okay,
yeah, you
I
look
don't
the
know.
same. I didn't even notice a change.
Okay, good. Because
I
it
didn't.
looks
You look nice. And I like your
okay.
background, by the way. I've been meaning to say that the whole
Oh,
time.
thank
It's very
you.
cute. So the enough thing. So when you have a
Yeah, I
leaky
love the
bucket,
yeah, I love that
you
imagery.
never reach a point of satisfaction.
And
You
that's
always
really
need more.
sad.
You're a bottomless pit. You're a bottomless pit. And that's what narcissists are. So these narcissists are bottomless pits and they will take everything. They don't care about anybody else. And here's the beautiful thing that I like, so that we can end on a high note or like, bring it back up, because I do think for people like us, if you've been around narcissists a lot of your life, and I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a systems analyst and like more of like a business setting. And I do feel like operating systems are almost like personalities. And like, I see a lot of
Mhm.
parallels on being able to analyze a system and being able to analyze a personality. Anyway, so if you're around narcissists a lot, they spend the entire time making you think that you carry all the traits that are actually their traits. They project a lot. So I think what happens is, in our population, all of the narcissists, there will never be enough. They always have to feed the beast. But with people like us, you know what's the most beautiful thing in the world? We can be satisfied. Our
Yeah.
buckets can be filled. And so what I think is really cool about
Mhm.
that is, what that means is all you have to do is unlearn that bottomless pit behavior that we get conditioned by, and that we get convinced that we're like that, or like we
Yeah.
fall into the trap of wanting to win at capitalism, is what I call it, which is basically like, oh, when I watch a movie and I see that person has that amazing vacation house and all this other stuff, like winning and having the most money that you can have is the only way that I can prove that I'm a success in this for profit
Mhm.
obsessed society we're living in. Once you decondition all of that, it's actually very easy to be satisfied for people like us.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to necessarily be mean like financial success. I mean,
Yeah,
you want a certain amount of you need to define success for yourself, I guess is what I'm saying too.
it's
It,
so true.
it might not be a billionaire on a yacht. Like that actually might not be your version of success, and that's okay. No.
Okay, so you're number one, because I was thinking probably around like the 2 hour mark, we could start to wrap. Is that good with you?
Yeah,
So maybe
I'm
when we do
getting
the
a
lives,
little
like,
exhausted.
yeah, I know, because it's an
I'm
intense
starting to feel
conversation.
that like, oh wow, but this has been
So
great.
we're burning ourselves out. Where you
Yeah,
guys are
we
watching, like, yeah,
I was like, let me get water. I'm like, ugh.
right. You're
Um,
right. So that's what I think for these lives. Like, once we hit the 2 hour mark, we're gonna wrap, like, no matter what, because just for
yeah.
our own sakes. But your number one was, oh, profit over people, huge, massive. And
Yeah.
my number one I kind of already covered, because I was going on that long rant about how disgustingly dysfunctional and how abusive and how terrible. And not only, so my number one is lack of integrity. I mean, I basically already kind of my number two, this is why I say they tie together. My number two was, I would never be whole. I would never have integrity as a person,
Mhm.
and this system has no integrity whatsoever. It's so normalized to abuse people, to lie, to steal, steal, cheat. It's
Yeah.
like destroying the planet, destroying people,
Yeah.
destructive machine with no integrity, no standard of doing the right thing.
I think like I wish I would have learned this quote sooner. It's from Mr. Rogers. This is so cheesy, but I swear it ties in. Like after he
I
passed,
like cheesy.
a quote like kind of went around that it was attributed to him, that where he says like look for the helpers.
I
Like
love
whenever
that.
whenever shit is going down, I don't think he said that part, but it was basically,
Yeah.
I think there's part before that, but it's basically like if shit's going down, look for helpers. And I started thinking about in my life like who are the people I gravitate towards too naturally, or like I want to cultivate like a friendship with. I think it's people who feel like the initial response to something isn't to judge it, it's to like understand it, support it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I feel like
Right.
that's like, I feel like that's what Mr. Rogers meant is like if you feel crazy, if
Yeah.
everything's crazy, look for who is helping people. And I'm like, that's like the greatest
Right.
advice I've ever heard. And I wish I would have heard that when I was like a child. Um,
Right. I
'Cause I
love
think that can
that.
help you identify genuine, like,
Yeah.
not that it's perfect, but I think I like the sentiment.
I do, and I have a lot of hope that a new way of living is going to rise because in a positive way, because things have gotten so severely extreme, like because we're in such, in my opinion, late stage capitalism, that I
Hmm.
really think that we are going to break into a new era of what we deem acceptable, you know? Like sometimes like when you can't when you see it, you can't unsee it. When you get
Hmm.
too much of the population that can't unsee it, I think that change is inevitable, you know?
Yeah, no, I
So
agree.
I feel like the helpers are going to be like the helpers usually like doubt themselves and they sit in the background and they're like, I'm just a helper, I'll clean up. And then they get to the point where the helpers are like, all right, fuck this. Like it's time to change some shit. And
Well,
like
yeah,
the
like they usually organize. I feel like that's why when you're in
yeah,
when you some of the bestest friends
right.
you meet in a workplace are because you didn't know it probably, but you were looking for the helpers. Like I feel
I
like
love
that,
that.
like
That's
what
such
we've
a
all.
perfect ending to the conversation cuz
'Cause-
a lot of times it's easy to really get wrapped up in all of the things that are wrong and I do feel hopeful. So, and I definitely think we should look for the helpers. I love that.
Yeah, it's so cheesy, but it's really helped my perspective in my recent growth. I really attribute a lot to that too, of that mindset.
Yeah.
Um, it just makes life more enjoyable to focus on. Like, we need to criticize the bad and like
Yeah,
try to
oh
fix
yeah.
it, but we also need joy
I love
because there
that.
is really cool. There's such cool stuff. Like being human's really cool. If we're all chill, like there's cool art, there's cool
It
things to
could
do. There's
be
cool,
so amazing. I mean, life could be so amazing. And
right?
I wouldn't even mind if I could just be a part of cleaning up the mess and actually could effectively clean up the mess. Back to hating corporate, like
Hmm.
you see problems and you want to fix the problems. I feel like some of the definition of insanity is not just trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, but it's like having your hands tied and not being allowed to fix problems right in front of your face. Like
Yeah.
it's so rewarding to actually fix real problems that matter,
Hmm. I
you know? And I
100%
think we're going to
agree.
get an opportunity to do that because I think people are going to start being like this, we just can't keep living like this. I hope.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay,
think too.
let's not push it to where we both crash. We talked about doing something tarot related at the end. And when we have an audience, you'll be able to pull cards for them in the future.
Oh
That'll be really
wait,
fun.
why is
Oh,
that
we
going?
definitely have 0 viewers at the moment.
Okay,
Starting
somebody.
well,
Oh,
you see it here, guys. We're starting from the bottom. Like,
the chat has like a somebody came in and just put like an ad. I don't want to read it. It's just like go to this website.
oh,
Like it's just like a little spammy.
so we did get a comment.
We got like a bot.
Yeah.
Ugh,
We'll
well,
take it. So, do
oh,
you
this
want
is
to do
so.
anything tarot related or do we want to just call it a wrap?
I'm gonna tell you what card I just pulled right now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'll tell you more later because I'll send you a picture, but I'll just tell you the main one. I pulled this card earlier, the Wheel of Fortune, but it was reversed. It's one of the
Okay.
cards I pulled, but now
Yeah.
it's upright. So I always
Okay.
think that's funny that it's back. And so
In a
when it's
different.
reversed, it meant we were taking the wheel. We might have technical difficulties. It might not even, we have no one on here, but like it's important that we do it. And like
Okay.
the universe will reward us.
Yes.
Like you got to take the wheel of fortune right now. But now that it's spun back this way, it's like, okay, we got you. That's how I interpret this like shift
Wait,
in
so are
this
you telling
card.
me that when you said you weren't going to tell me what card you pulled until after to see if it came true,
Hmm.
it was the and you just pulled it again?
And I've been shuffling the deck this entire time. That's why if you see me looking, well, one time I was looking just because my dog,
Oh, okay.
and now he's back. But then other times I'm literally just like I've been reshuffling the cards, like fidgeting with them.
Okay. Wow,
So
that's awesome. I love
yes,
that. A full circle moment.
and it gets even like creepier, but we don't have time for that. I'll go
What?
on for another 2 hours to
Oh,
talk
okay.
about like so. Yeah.
Well, you'll have to let me know because I'm
Yes,
curious.
I will. I'll have
Okay,
to send you the
perfect.
picture.
Okay, so I want to practice wrapping the live show with plugs for where we can find people. So
Oh.
I see you have your handle. Are you on You're on TikTok and Instagram, right?
Yeah, my Instagram I think is getting more attention, but I'm on TikTok too, so either of those handles for those.
Okay, awesome. And our fun Overshare brand is at Overshare Media on TikTok, Overshare.media on Instagram. And we have Overshare Magazine. I'm going to have like 10 things to say. And we have Overshare Magazine at Substack. And we're going to get those going. They're all blank
Yay!
right now, but
This is the first step.
yeah. Thank you so much for joining my first live show ever, Alicia.
I love it. Oh my goodness, I love the cards we're
With the
getting.
card. Yeah, that's so exciting. Oh, do it.
Last
Do
one,
it.
last one. So the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight in the deck, and Pentacles is like money and business. But
Okay.
the Knight being the slowest knight mostly means it's the smartest one in my opinion. Methodical, intentional. I'm not just gonna go to go. And so it's like a signal of like we're on the right path, and it's like be patient.
Yes.
Like it's not going. Yeah,
That I
it's a
feel
good.
like
It's a
I'm
nice
not gonna
symbol.
just go is like the entire definition of my entire 3-year journey out of corporate. Like you have been there the whole way. And that's another thing on the Unemployable Women show, like when I do episodes, I feel like I should also tell my own story
Mhm.
because like where I started and where I ended up, like I refuse to just accept a direction because it was like the best idea I had at the time.
Mhm.
I like refuse to stop pulling on the thread until I got where I'm going. And now here with this entire concept and idea, like is a culmination of so many it's
So much
like
work.
my 3-year exploration all brings this all together. Every
Yeah,
piece of it. So it's
it's
like
really
that card
it,
really relates a lot.
yeah, it's really cool to see like when people are given the chance to be creative and the
Yeah.
time, like
Yes.
like
That's huge.
how much joy you can find.
Without having
Um,
to earn a living, which is such a ridiculous thing to say.
mhm.
You have to be able to earn a right to live.
Yeah, and I
Like
think that's
basic
why health
needs are met.
insurance is tied to full-time employment.
Yes.
You like that's my biggest like a fear. I think a lot of people that I don't I don't know why I feel like I need private health insurance. That's a whole other episode. Because like what's
Yeah.
my fear of losing like health insurance? Like that's
Yeah.
crazy that like that's a fear. Like just to like
Oh, it
wrap my
makes
head around like
sense. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's just so interesting too, because it's like with everything, you have to think about the matrix of things that could have potentially impacted that. Like you'd have to be like, well, am I afraid to lose health insurance because of capitalism? Or am I afraid to lose it because of patriarchy? Or am I afraid to lose it because of my trauma history? Or am I afraid to lose
yeah.
it? Like, I feel like everything is so complicated for my brain because it's like everything has 75 layers to dig through to get to the root of like where that comes from.
Yeah.
So
No. That's so yeah. All right.
all right.
Cut.
Cut. We're done. We did it.